So, I mean, this is complete amateur hour here. I got the
good
wire.
Yeah,
it's not bad actually. So,
do you keep those in the whole time?
What? Well, it's different because it's usually like I'll have the mic up here by me. So this is.
Why do you have that?
This is so I can hear. Like I can hear from through the mic, as opposed to just you and me talking. Now I can hear how loud it is from so if I need to adjust the mic settings, I can do it. If I had a real setup with a mixer, actually I have an old mixer that Pistol Pete hooked me up with, that when I get a better mic, I can hook it up into that and you can adjust on the fly without anyone really noticing. Like this one I had to stop and move the mic around and kind of guess, and it's a real fucking B-rated situation. Sorry, Terrence, family show. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to another riveting fucking episode of the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. It's already not family friendly.
No.
So, sorry again, Terrence. Right off the bat, I highly suggest you put your kid to sleep before you listen to this.
This one's not going to be clean. Definitely
not. So we got a special guest today. This is the first guest in the LPDS studio at the Resolute desk, the one and only Chris Bud, the Bone Crusher Maloney.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. This is a long time coming. Yeah. I wanted to get it to where we actually had two mics going back and forth, so it wouldn't look like this crack house version of a setup.
We just put it together in a minute.
Yeah, which we did. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate you coming by and knocking this out. So
hopefully the first of many.
Oh, definitely. Especially when I get back from my stint down at the beach for work, I'll actually have an additional mic so that we can talk like adults and we're we're really in the biz here.
Right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Well, before we started, your birthday just came up.
Oh,
we haven't seen each other in a while, so myself and Big Alan, the apex predator, my sister, we got you two gifts. So,
so I want to say thank you, but I also want to say I hate this because I suck. Well, first of all, real quick, I'm not mad about it only because whenever this posts, whenever we release this episode, it's going to be way past my birthday. So none of you fucking losers are going to know when my birthday is, which is how I want to keep it.
Yeah, they'll have no idea.
Right.
It'll stay redacted.
Also, I'm terrible at giving gifts. So every time I get a great gift from you, I'm just like, well, I already lost.
Gotta up the ante.
So there's nothing else I can
Leslie Nope.
Yeah, except I'm not nearly as good as her. So I'll pop this open real quick. I already know exactly what it is. Oh my God.
So we wanted to get a frame for it, like that golden frame that when he steals it in the movie National Treasure, of course.
So if you guys can't see, should I roll it out?
You can if you want.
I don't want to because then I'll compromise the integrity of it before the frame.
On the back of it.
There could be. Yeah. So this is Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Incredible steal. I'm gonna put this right up so you guys can see it. Hopefully it doesn't roll away.
Yeah,
but
we'll be all right.
I'll put my pen here to stop it. But
all right, and then one
that's
more.
Amazing. So National Treasure, Nick Cage, of course, one of the all-time greats.
Proper replica, of course.
So, naturally. So thanks for that. That's incredible. We're leaving that up for sure.
All right, one more.
And again, I don't condone adult birthdays by any means, unless you're like a World War II or Vietnam War vet.
Yeah, we don't make a big deal out of it.
Otherwise, no.
A little thing here and there.
No way. No way.
Dude, it's lit.
This is a gray sports almanac.
It actually has the pages in it.
This is like the real thing.
Yeah.
It is. I can't believe it.
There's a receipt in the bag from the actual store.
Oh my God, dude.
That Marty buys it from.
What an incredible score. What an incredible score.
Figured that those would be propped up on the Resolute desk.
Oh, definitely. We got to get, maybe I'll put this up I'll put the bag here. I don't know if you can see the bag now.
See the reflection a little bit.
But maybe prop it up like this. That's good. Yeah, it's not going to fall, I don't think. Unbelievable. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man.
For those of you who don't know, besides the Rocky saga, I think we talked about it with my brother previously. Back to the Future is another life-changing saga, and you and I talk about it, constantly.
Right.
So that's an unbelievable pickup.
Well, I think this month too is the 35th anniversary of the first movie.
It is, yeah. So I think they're doing a whole thing for it. I did see like a sweet box that apparently they were coming out with like in Europe, but hopefully it's coming.
They got the figs coming out. You know, those on the way already.
So that's a all-time score right there. I'm never like I gotta put it up so that it's permanently up on. So when I switch to camera angle or whatever, when I'm solo, it's still propped up.
It props pretty well like that.
It does,
too.
yeah. Actually, I might just like put a little cheap ass shelf up here to leave it up there. So that's unbelievable. Yeah, man. Thank you for that.
Of course.
That's a good birthday. It's a good. Whenever my birthday is, you'll never know. But never know. But no, thanks for being a guest. Thanks for the gifts.
Absolutely.
I think we should just keep riding this high and step right into the cage.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay, let's ride.
Let's ride.
All right, this sponsor sucks. All right, today's cage fact is sponsored by Hal's Adult Roller Rink in Manalapan, New Jersey. Remember all the fun you had as a kid scooting around the rink for your B-day with your pals and having a slush puppy? Well, now you can do that as an adult at Hal's, where you can get drunk and high and slog around that musty roller rink with all your other loser adult friends who never made it out of high school. To book your baby mama party today, call 1-800-DICK4 and use the promo code LOWLIFE for 5% off your first reservation. So I could barely get through that one.
That's a great deal.
It is a good deal. I mean, if you even knew what the prices were, like
probably absurd.
It's 5% is going to get you a significant amount off to go use dirty secondhand roller skates.
Yeah, that's what everyone wants to do.
Yeah, crash around.
Absolutely.
Dance with the cosmic lights and stuff. But
well,
anyway.
you gave me the honor of doing the cage fact this week.
Yeah, so we try to do that with first time guests. We give them the option. If it's like no pressure situation if you wanted to. So I think you got one.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I just finished watching National Treasure: Book of Secrets. So
another killer.
It's a great one. All right, so the cage fact I picked, you guys already brought up a few weeks ago on the show about a fossil pickup that Nick had.
Yes.
So about a month ago, I'm trying to relate it to current events, as an investigatory news reporter.
Naturally.
Yeah. So about a month ago, a T-Rex fossil skeleton was purchased for $31.8 million. Scientists and researchers are furious as they fear it may be lost to research now that someone bought it. So kind of relates. The T-Rex's name, did you know this?
No.
Stan.
Nuh-uh. Mm-hmm. Like as in Stan Goodspeed or Stan Grand Champion?
Grand Champion Stan.
Naturally.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Stan. R.I.P. Griffey. Yeah. All right. So you guys talked about it. In 2007, he bought a Tarbosaurus batar skull for $276,000.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode we talked about it, but it was,
So it was from a Beverly Hills gallery. Did you talk about who he outbid?
I think my brother mentioned it like on a different episode informally.
It's pretty wild. Leo DiCaprio.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big, I mean, imagine being just in that audience, watching those two go at it.
Amazing. You can make a movie about that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I think what I did is added a little bit more facts to it. So in 2014, about 7 years after he bought the skull, he was contacted by the Department of Homeland Security, who informed him that the skull may have entered the U.S. illegally.
Naturally.
Investigators determined that the skull had been stolen from Mongolia.
And then, that's it, yeah.
And then about a year later, Cage agreed to return the skull. So, I mean, that's just a huge dagger for any collector.
Yeah, but he didn't get his money back.
Right. So he was interviewed by the New York Times. He revealed he never got a penny back from the dodgy sale. Quote, "Of course it should be awarded to its country of origin, but who knew? Plus, I never got my money back, so that stank."
He said
direct quote, stank.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
dude.
So just another, weird and questionable investment.
I did. So I remember hearing about some discrepancy with Homeland Security, DHS, and having to give it back. I didn't remember what country, Mongolia. It sounds about right. But the fact that he didn't get his money back because he spent like
almost $300,000.
Yeah, it wasn't at like a flea market.
Yeah, it's amazing
where you get your guinea teas.
I mean, that would be a great plot for National Treasure 3 of how he steals back the skull.
Yeah,
skull.
and the Declaration.
Of course.
But I think that's actually it was supposed to be in production before the China virus.
Yeah.
So
well, it's been 10 years now, and they've been trying to push it and push it and push it.
There was an official release of like, hey, it's coming. It's officially coming. But then the virus hit, and
we're ready for it.
I've been ready. I mean, I'm literally sitting in my living room like an asshole waiting for it to come out.
Any more Riley Poole, so.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's a great fact.
Well, thanks for letting me do it and add on to it.
No, I appreciate that. And again, I love when guests come on and able to contribute in that regard, because it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because then because everyone just thinks that like, oh, what's this loser gonna call him?
Yeah,
heart. Like I don't. Like I gotta do some research too. So it's also great to learn something new as well from somebody. Right. So, and that's something I didn't know. Like I knew he had some issues, but it took a whole year for them to kind of pry out of his dead lifeless fingers.
Yeah, he just didn't want to give it up.
No, I wouldn't either, especially if he wasn't getting money back for
had
it.
it in his bedroom.
Yeah. With that guy. Did you hear the facts from several episodes ago with that naked guy in the fudgesicle?
Yeah, fudgesicle.
He probably stained the skeleton.
Yeah.
But thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry, folks in podcast land, not watching. I was just taking a drink of my vodka, my Terramana Rock Tequila. But let's move on to the junction. We'll spin the little logo up, but this is what I do with guests. I don't have like a specific agenda usually, unless it's like, unless my brother and I come up with like a movie agenda or something specific. I just kind of like to shoot the shit. I figured this would be as good a time as ever for you to come on and talk about, I guess, our origin story, especially since on my episode with the Wet Cat and Dangerous Davis, we talked about all of our little origins as pals and brothers, and how you were obviously in the mix as the Bone Crusher.
And a lot of claims on my character, which I don't necessarily deny, but.
Oh yeah. So there were claims on like you in the beginning, but I feel like at least I'm going to defend myself. I'm not going to entirely throw those guys under the bus, but I'm going to just defend myself.
Well, this is the Libretti podcast.
That's right.
Show.
At the end of the day,
we're always going to go.
The truth comes from this side of the table usually.
Of course.
But the claims were that, obviously like you were a dick and all that, but I maintain, and I still do, that it was target. It was a reason. It wasn't just like Biff Tannen, I'm an insecure bully kind of situation.
Well, all right. So let's go back to the beginning.
Maybe it was.
A little bit. So 2008, all the new coaches came to Embry-Riddle.
Yeah, it was 07, 08. Yeah.
Right. So at the end of 2007, the Williams leave to go to Valdosta State, and they actually offered me to go there with them, but
which I didn't know.
Yeah. So I had considered it, playing in their program for 3 years, but
kind of already knew it.
When I looked into the school at Valdosta State, none of my Embry-Riddle credits would have transferred. So I probably
shocker.
Yeah. So I would have gone essentially to Valdosta State with 1 year left of baseball eligibility, but as a freshman, basically
4 years of school required.
Right? And I'm already in student loan debt. Thanks a lot, Embry-Riddle, of course. Stealing the catchphrase.
Yeah. Everybody can claim it because Embry-Riddle stole so much from so many.
We're still paying to this day.
Oh my God, dude.
So 2008 comes along. We're about to be 2008. We're getting ready to go back to school. The new coaches come in.
Real quick, the coaches that you came to the school in were the Williams brothers.
Right.
We talked a little bit about that with Wet Cat and them. I have a terrible habit of like dropping names and talking,
and assuming everybody knows.
And just so I'm gonna if I'm stopping you like uncomfortably, it's for that reason. That's just fine. Let me just shut me up.
So the first 3 years of baseball at Embry-Riddle were, I've never been in the military, but from what I can imagine, maybe as close to the military as you can get without actually being in.
Yeah.
In regards to shaving every day and keeping your hair short, and you can't wear your hair or your hat backwards, and no hats inside, and
that was entirely like rules given to you by the Williams coaches. It was not school policy,
not school, not NAIA. It was
nothing.
Totally them. It was, you had to go to class every day, and we could be waiting by your class to make sure you get there.
Which I'm sure they did.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because a lot of the guys on the team did not put any school effort in.
No. Well, that's a real thing about Embry-Riddle in general is like, especially when we went, it's an aeronautical university,
right?
And it's got aerospace engineering, flying, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's tough to get guys to come and play just like to go play sports there on scholarships. And if they do, they're going to have to take aviation stuff. And if you're not interested in that, like, there's no fucking way
it's
you're
hard.
Gonna go.
It's hard to make it through classes if you're not into that.
Because it's just not going to translate into real.
And a lot of their guys that they brought in, so they didn't typically bring in fresh, 4-year freshmen.
Right.
They would bring in like JUCO transfers and guys that, would fail out of other programs, D1 programs and stuff like that. So these guys are coming into Embry-Riddle essentially, again, not anywhere close to graduating. So they have no investment into school.
No,
they're just coming to play. So they really just want to go to practice and play games. Yeah. So
now you got the coaches literally standing outside your classroom, making sure you go to aviation management school.
Right. So everything was like punishment based and everything was on the line. You could have a great day of practice, but at the end of practice, they'd line everybody up and make sure that everybody shaved. And you didn't shave, and then they make us run. So like my freshman year,
they didn't even do that that often when I went to boot camp.
So maybe some things were worse. So it was at the point of the first year where I was like just scared to death to go to practice because I just didn't want to run and I was so afraid of
you didn't want to make a mistake.
Right. Yeah, that's how I learned to play college baseball. I was just scared to death of everything. So anyway, for me, I felt like I went through hell and back with all these punishment runnings and we'd lose on a road trip and then come back and have to run suicides at 3:00 in the morning, when we just want to go home. So
on a weekend.
It's Saturday night,
and you're in college,
right?
In Florida, mind you, and they're like, to the field.
Put your shoes on. We're gonna go run, and they'd have people running wheelbarrows, and it was brutal. So for me, going into my senior year, I had been through a lot of shit. My junior year or sophomore year, we had like 16 or 17 guys on the team. So it was, we were super tight knit. And again, I've been through hell and back and running and punishment.
60 plus games with just 16 guys on a baseball team. That's unheard of.
Right. So I get to my senior year, we start baseball and all these guys are coming to the team. And there's like 40 guys, 30 or 40 guys.
The Steagles had that tryout of the whole winter or fall semester, and everybody came.
And to me, it was like all these guys are on the team. Well, they haven't been through what I've been through here.
No.
So me being a dick, which 100% I was, I don't deny it to this day. And most of the people that know me know that I can be like that. But it was more of like, me personally, I was like annoyed that all these people were on the team and they didn't have to go through
they
what I
went
went
through. Stripes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was kind of my way of putting them through a little bit of what I went through, being tough on them. And and you guys talked about in the other episode is the ones that could take it and made it through, they stayed on the team, and the ones that, I'm not saying I was the one that got them off the team, but they just weren't built for, that type of atmosphere.
And
competitive college atmosphere.
And they kind of filtered out. And that was one thing that the Steagles, like the coaches I was born into, they always said like the shit will filter out.
Right.
And it for the most part it did, especially after like we went through like our conditioning and we got the mental toughness training, if you will, from the old, like you guys, like the originals, the vets there.
Yeah.
It filtered out a lot of the shit. The shit that stuck around, honestly, if you think about it, were all the fucking scholarship guys that the Steagles brought in that were just like drunks or druggies or whatever the hell they were. There was very few guys that like tried out that stayed around that were shitbags. Everybody else, the Steagles like accidentally recruited into the program.
Yeah, the ones that tried out there, maybe like other than you, David's, Phil, there weren't very many that stayed around for that 2008 season. And that 2008 season, Skip says it all the time. That's one of the most like bad news Bears teams of all time.
Especially, well, for me, I mean, coming into the team, like in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm part of the elite now. Right. So I can only imagine on your end, you're like, this is the exact opposite of what I'm used to.
Yeah, I wasn't anything that I'd known for the first 3 years. Having all of these guys around and like all these guys trying out, it was so different,
world.
And I just like took it out on everyone. Like they're gonna pay if they think that they can stay around all year.
And some people definitely deserve that, like for sure.
Yeah.
And they got washed out, and I couldn't have been happier for that.
Oh yeah.
Because that, like, my mindset too is like, I have to personally earn shit to feel like I belong. Like there's a lot of stuff that I still feel like I didn't earn, so I don't like claiming it or whatever. So when I saw guys like on that same team making it through, I'm not going to mention any names because I want to protect the idiots, but like I'm looking at these absolute jabronis and I'm like, and I'm one of them too, but in my mind I was like, I don't want to be part of the same conversation as this fucking guy. So
yeah, and then like,
I can only imagine how you guys
like you guys said after we made it through, that fall or that season, like we've all remained pretty close to this day,
Yeah. There was still some people that like made it to the spring team, like the actual team.
Yeah.
And they just like, I don't talk to them anymore. I have no desire to be friends with them or anything.
Right.
But as far as like the core group, it was like us two, Steele. I'll throw a little Weasel into the conversation, of course.
We'll give him a shout out.
Phil, Davids, Bonji, obviously.
Right.
There's a couple others I'm missing, so don't get pissed if I forgot your name. But it was that kind of mentality. I live for that shit. I think you probably picked up on that later, like eventually, but like that's what I live for. If you're not getting in my ass and calling me out and trying to tell me it can't be done. So like, even if I don't like you, if you tell me that, like, I'm going to try to prove you wrong.
Right.
It just so happened that we ended up being friends. It's not like I'm not going to try to spite you, but like, that is what motivates me is to get me up, and motivated.
So I would always go in with you guys, like, or go at you guys. But I think, after I called you Sarge that day and I mean, stuck as one of the greatest nicknames
of all time.
But I think you and I, like when we first like started becoming friends, was because of the Giants.
Yeah,
because we found out that we were Giants fans.
Right, and it's hard to like when you're down in Florida. There's no other Giants fans. They're
all Patriots fans and Red Sox fans. That's all I remember.
Yeah, whoever's winning, whoever was winning at the time. Right. That's what Steele's claim to fame is. Whoever's the front runner, all of a sudden he comes in with a jersey and a hat and their fight song.
He'll deny it forever. Yeah.
But that was one thing. And that's actually something that Phil and Dangerous Davids shared as well, was that little thing.
And even remember when Danny Martin came back?
That's right, yeah.
And we found
I forgot he was a Giants fan too.
Scary guy.
He was a scary. I only met him a couple times. It was at like he came back for like an alumni situation, and then at one of the WrestleManias we went to, which we'll probably talk about that eventually.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the nicest guys ever, but if you don't know him, like
I was scared shitless, and then he sort of brought me into his fold where he was just like cool me hanging around when we were tailgating. So I was like, I felt safe.
Right.
Like, I knew that
if
shit went down, he would not take me out.
Right.
And I'd be part of that protected crew.
So we had made it through that fall in 2008, and then the spring came around, and that was when WrestleMania 24 was
down to the Citrus
end of March or so.
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah, March or April. And that's like, again, that's when you were hanging out with the guys that were there before. The
originals.
Like Lecco and Brady and them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Vic.
Mm-hmm. Those are all guys that I never played with. They were part of the program before that. They ended up, they were all graduated at that time. But that was another thing that we kind of came together on was like wrestling. Yeah. And like, I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care if you think it's fake, whatever, scripted. I don't care. Yeah. It's fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a shit that people are like, it's stupid. It's not real. It's like, okay, cool.
Everybody has their thing.
Yeah. Like Real Housewives isn't real.
Yeah.
And you guys watch
That's how I equate is everybody watches their reality shows. It's kind of like a reality show that's just more athletic and entertaining.
It's just an athletic soap opera.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So, and it's definitely like, especially when you're like in college, you got really nothing to live for.
Yeah.
you want to go down and tailgate
right.
at a wrestling event? Like, hell yeah, I
awesome.
do. Like, why wouldn't
we
you?
did it all day.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that kind of brought us together too. But I do want to circle back to the Sarge nickname.
Okay.
So I don't talk about it on here much because I'm usually talking to myself, and nobody's calling me Sarge on the program because again, it's just me and the voices in my head.
Randy Orton.
Yeah. So when I first tried out and made the team, that was my first year in school that I got after our officer boot camp that we went to. So for Air Force and military ROTC, at least for Air Force anyway, you go in the summer of after your sophomore year into your junior year, you go to your officer boot camp. They call it field training. And it's like 4 weeks of getting yelled at and marching and doing stupid shit.
Standard.
Yeah. And after that, your requirement in the program kind of increases. Like you have to go to class more often. There's more classes. There's more responsibilities for like the cadet wing and all that Nazi bullshit. So most of the time throughout the week, I was in my uniform.
Right. And that's how I came to know you.
Yeah, because especially in the beginning, for whatever reason, every practice and stuff, like I always had ROTC class right before practice or anything.
Yep.
So I would show up to every event, practice, a dinner event, everything in uniform, like a fucking Gomer Pyle idiot. And I felt it too. I was just like, nobody's gonna like me.
I think you're probably the only one showing up to practice because there were a couple other guys doing ROTC, like some of the younger, like newer guys.
The newer guys, yeah. But they didn't go through their boot camp, so they didn't have the like. It was just me.
Yeah.
And then even when Steele rejoined ROTC later on, he didn't have the same requirements as me, so he didn't have to show up in uniform hardly ever. It was just me,
just you,
with 50 plus guys in the clubhouse, and all of a sudden this guy comes in like Vietnam era camouflage.
And I think one day I was just like, "What's up, Sarge?"
Yeah, you're like, "Sergeant, hey, Sergeant, whatever." Everyone, and then you said it, and then everybody else, like, it would be one-on-one. It wasn't like a whole group, like, "Yeah, let's call him Sarge." It was just like I would walk by a guy on the team, and they'd be like, "Hey, Sergeant, what's up, man?" And I'd just be like, "All right, hey, stranger."
Yeah. It's not. At least we weren't calling you like shithead or something.
Or fat fuck or something like that, which was fun. Which was fine. Like, and I knew it too. Like in my head, in my heart, I was like. I'm happy I'm getting away with this and not something worse. Because
I think too, like when me personally, when I was like, all right, this dude's a good dude, is when it was like the second or third practice when you got popped in the mouth with that ground ball.
Oh, the ground ball on the rock hard field.
And I think it chipped your tooth.
Yeah, it knocked half my tooth out.
Yeah, and you just like sat out for 5 minutes and then you're like, all right, I'm good. And I was like, all right.
I just had to water it down and get a mouth guard real quick.
Yeah. And then you're fine. All right, this guy's not too bad. He can hang.
Yeah, well, there was a combination of things on that day. So first you had, I don't think it was Cheesesteak hitting Fungo. It was probably like Kyle Albright, one of the players. And when he got up there, he was trying to hit it as hard as he could because he was trying to make the Yankees get drafted during his Fungo.
Right.
Which fungos are just like when you do like ground ball practice or fly ball practice. That's what they call it, fungos.
Look it up.
Yeah, so he was hitting fucking piss missiles at third base when I was playing there, practicing there, I guess I should say. So you got that. At the time, they did not redo the field yet. So the dirt was rock hard. It was like...
Well, this was August, too.
Yeah.
In Florida. So that heat bakes the field. Like, it literally beats on the dirt all day till it's like concrete.
Yeah, and you get that afternoon rain in Florida every day. And if you think it would like help, but all it does, it turns it into clay. So when the heat comes back and the sun comes back, it just turns it into cement practically.
Right.
So then you got that. Then you have to throw in the fact that I was not good at all. Like I really had no business being on the field. And I get this bouncer, like I'll never forget it. I was going to my left. And those are easy plays. Like left or right, you don't have to think, you just go. Because that's it. Yeah. I was like easy play. I could get this. It was within range. I go and it hits the clay, like the cement, and pops back this way. It was almost a full 90-degree angle. And of course, I'm not moving in time. I'm an idiot. Like I'm not doing it. And it pops me right in the teeth, half my tooth chips off and flies everywhere. One of the pitchers, I think Dave Reynolds was one of the pitchers. He's on the cusp of the outfield, like getting all our misses for us. And he just goes, "Hey, Sarge, here's your tooth." And everyone's like obviously laughing.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm laughing.
Right.
What was really funny though was the next day they couldn't get me into the dentist until the afternoon. So I had to go to class looking like Florida trash, basically. And that was a tough one because I was in like uniform.
Lloyd Christmas.
Yeah. I looked like Lloyd Christmas, but in uniform with a fucking half a tooth. It was tough. Yeah. It was tough to pick up chicks that way too.
Yeah.
So
that was a good start.
It was, yeah. And I think that I think guys like you and other like real guys that I looked up to saw that and were like, well, this kid's took a ball literally in the face and it's not gonna.
That's the type of people that you want to be in that like 60 game season with when you're hanging out with them every day, is someone that you know is tough and will go through everything.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too about those seasons in Florida is it's 60 plus games if you include like playoffs. It's road trips. It's not D1. Like that's another thing that people are like, if you go look at D1 programs, like the top programs like LSU and all them, like they're getting the full treatment. Yeah. They got a sweet clubhouse. They got like a charter bus everywhere, catered meals, the works,
and playing at nice fields
all the time. Everything is top notch. We're in like rapist vans, like our players and coaches are driving them. It depends on who's not sleeping that day.
Play at some fields that are in the back of playgrounds. And,
we played out. Edward Waters was like I think it was an old Negro League field from like 60, 70 years ago.
The chain link fence went like 70 feet in the air in the outfield.
Yeah, and it was like
I still gave up a home run that went way over.
That was a tough series, that one.
It was.
But that's what we had to deal with. Yeah. And then you had to share rooms because there were so many of us at the time. Yeah. So we're sharing hotel rooms, eating shitty Papa John's pizza.
Wearing Mizuno 8-pound
Franken cleats.
Yeah. Thanks, Skip.
just second rate amateur hour all around. Yeah, so terrible. You want to be able to like if you can't stand the people you're playing with and going through that with, it's terrible. Right. Yeah. And that's the same on like the military side too. I mean, Air Force is super cush, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's tough. But anything that was remotely difficult that you have to go through, it's like I don't want to be deployed with a bunch of broke dicks that I can't trust, to get my back ever. So it's the same kind of concept. It's just
obviously a little not as life and death as military and being deployed.
No, maybe not. Definitely. I would agree with you.
I mean, but that's all we cared about in college.
It was at the time. Yeah. Like when you're that age, that's all it was. Yeah. And people always give me shit for that when I talk about how tough our baseball time was and all this other crap. And it's like, it's all relative.
Right.
Like we're a bunch of college kids. There was nothing else that we had tough in our lives up until that point. So yes, at the time it was.
Because we didn't really care about school.
No. I mean, I did because I was a loser. But that was. Now thinking back, it's like, there's more important things and tougher things in life. But at the time, that's what you wanted. You wanted those tough, gritty guys to be able to handle and take shit, from and be able to succeed together and work through together. And
somehow we succeeded that season.
Yeah, that season. It was filled with so many like absolute like dickhead jabronis.
Just things you would never see in a regular, baseball season, I guess.
No.
With people like the car accidents from certain people and showing up hammered to practice.
Showing up completely drunk to like a game and just going from like your party club gear to your uniform
and still performing.
It's
somehow.
Still pitching like a shutout. Or like the guys like falling asleep at a stop sign getting a DUI. Like how do they deal with that crap?
But somehow we made it.
It was
the World Series.
And it was not just that, it was also the fact that you had more than half the team was like walk-on weirdos that like shouldn't be playing college baseball at all. And we ended up winning the conference, making it to the World Series.
Yeah, and they
becoming fifth that year.
Yeah, and when we went to the the regional tournament was in somewhere in Central Florida. Maybe we played.
It was the Red
Indians.
Indians minor league before we went to the Red Sox field. It was the Indians minor spring training.
And they had that SCAD had that pitcher, the lefty.
Oh yeah,
Sullivan,
I forgot his name.
Sullivan,
yeah.
And they were
yeah.
like, oh, he's gonna be first round draft pick, and he hasn't been touched all year.
Right.
And we
dominated. I think it was I think we put up 10 runs on it. Not when I say we, I mean like the team.
You were on the team. You can say we.
I have that imposter syndrome constantly though.
It doesn't work as well when we say like we as the Giants are terrible.
Right, because we're not on the team. Right. But yeah, we put up 10 runs in like a couple innings on that day.
We ran through that regional tournament.
That tournament was we owned it. And that was such a fun experience. Every time it was like, if we can make a regional, that regional like tournament, it was all like, once we made it there, it was all over, because our confidence shot up to the point where like, even if we lost a game in there, we're still kind of like, we knew is like, you're not going to beat us.
Right. I don't even think we did lose a game in that tournament.
That tournament we swept through. The next year, I think we swept through also. And then the year after, we like lost one, and we were playing out of the losers bracket every time. And we still.
So the funny thing like about like our origin is that first year when I was still playing, we were friends, obviously, but it was the second year that like, that's when we really became friends.
Like that's when we started becoming brothers. Really.
Yeah. Because I had my Tommy John surgery after the 2008 season.
Right.
And I was rehabbing that whole 2009 season when you were playing.
Yeah. And you were in the area though.
But I was around the team
because you were still in Daytona. Yeah.
So I was still finishing up school. I was doing the broadcast.
That's right.
For your games. And then Davids would throw with me when I blew David's arm out. Sorry, Davids.
Did he tell that? I don't know if he told that story, but if you guys if you remember David's, Dangerous David's, Oswald Colopot, Every Riddle's first son, he was bullpen catching for you like a lot.
So I was on a throwing program when I started, when rehab was better and I could start throwing. He pretty much offered to do it every day with me. So it was like the first day, you throw from 10 feet, and then each week you would progress up to long toss until the point where I could throw bullpens again. He did all of it. So that's when I became close with him too.
Yeah.
So it was really that year after I was done playing that I became close with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Because you had a little bit more time, obviously,
more time
because we were practicing for 4 hours. And this, again, NAIA, there was no rules or restrictions on practice time limits.
I don't even think there was grade eligibility back then.
The only eligibility was for playoff time, like World Series time. Was the NAIA had a GPA rule.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was self-induced. Any restriction was self-induced. So we were practicing hours and hours on end. Even with the Steagles, it was probably worse for you with the Williams, but so you had a little bit more time. You were doing the rehab with Davids.
Finished telling him about Davids blowing out his arm.
Oh yeah. So you're doing you go ahead. So you're doing the rehab with Davids, which you're the one pitching and rehabbing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call Davids out on this. Like, as a catcher, especially when you're not in a game, you're
not gunning it back to me.
Yeah, and that's like, even I could do that. And I have the yips from behind the plate when I'm throwing back to the pitcher. So like, all you got to do is
lop it back. I mean, it wasn't like we're going 100%.
No.
So I think it was like maybe a year or so later when we were in our mini golf tournaments.
Oh yeah.
He would complain like how I blew my arm out throwing with Bud. I'm like, what are you talking about?
He never went to, maybe he did and I just don't remember it, but I don't think he went to like rehab or anything for it. It was just a lingering reason for him to not be good at something, or not, like if he lost a golf tournament or anything, it was just like, well, if Bud didn't blow my arm out, which is impossible to do. Like, you can't blow your arm out lobbing back 50 feet, because if you're thinking about it mathematically, you're pitching from 60 feet, 6 inches. You're throwing, by the time you get through your motion, you're 10, 15 feet up. You're lobbing it back as a catcher a couple feet in front of the plate. We're talking 45, 50 feet with a lob. If you're blowing your arm out, you're not you're not a tough guy.
Watch him get an MRI now.
He will now.
Torn.
Yeah, it'll be torn, and now we'll fucking feel bad about it, maybe. Yeah. But I have to give him credit always. He came, like, especially now, he's come back.
Oh, yeah.
Lost all the weight. He's looking svelte. Is that a word? I think I just made that up.
Sounds right.
He's got the Crossroads fit going, so go check that out. But I love, we love David to death.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna get hate from some, not from David's, but from somebody in the comments. You're really mean to that kid and blah blah blah. It's like,
hey, they talked about me on. You guys talked about me on the other.
That's
episode,
right. It's only fair. Yeah, and we'll talk about Phil too.
It's all love.
It's all about respect and jokes and
so I mean,
not cancel culture.
Basically, that year, the year after my senior year when I was rehabbing, that's when we really, like, we started the SBD mini golf tournament with the trophy.
The Sarge Bud Davids.
Yeah, hopefully you can find a picture of that trophy.
We have it somewhere. I got to see if it's on the book. I'll post it. I'll post it up right now, like if I can, but like a marquee.
Yeah.
But we used to do that. We had a jacket too, and then the trophy, and we would go do mini golf.
So we would go around to all the mini golf places in Daytona, all up and down.
There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, a ton of them. And we would play, for nothing really, just recognition.
Yeah, just for the trophy. But we would play for keep. It was like we took it serious.
Kept the trophy.
Yeah, you got the trophy and the jacket until the next tournament.
And the trophy was made out of shoe boxes,
popcorn,
construction paper, popcorn cup on the top.
Yeah, but it was legitimate. Like, it was awesome.
The Chubbs Peterson Memorial Trophy.
It was full size, and then there was little plaques that you would write in the winner. And
I cut a slit into the base so that you could put the mini golf card,
the scorecard into it. Yep. It was a great trophy,
fun.
and it was super fun to do. And it was another thing to compete. And I think that I didn't mention it earlier, but that was another, like, that was an overarching thing that we all shared, was that, maybe not David's, but all
you're so mean.
But all of us was like, we all compete, like, had that competitive nature in anything we did. So even mini golf, we're taking it seriously. Everyone's dressing up in pretty much full golf gear to go and do these tournaments. And I remember distinctly, I never won. We must have done it 13, 15 times or whatever. Yeah. I was runner up probably 10 to 12 of those. Almost every single time I was runner up, never won.
Just couldn't crack them.
And it was like the story of my life, like, just short.
That was fun, man.
It was fun. But we used to do that. We would be working out, whatever you could to do to work out. You were always at the game, so you were keeping up with our progress as a team and as us individually. And then we would always share, like, we had the Giants in wrestling. Yeah. So we were like, there was every excuse, like every reason to hang out constantly. Yeah. Whether it was baseball or, football or anything, we were always together dicking around.
For me too, like, I was done playing baseball, but it's you talked about on the previous ones. It's hard to, like, be done with your college baseball and then just be done.
Yeah, you can't just be done.
So I wanted to kind of hang around as long as I could. And I still felt like a part of the team because I was, on the field with you guys throwing when you had practice, when you guys won to go to the World Series, I was on the field, like, celebrating with you guys. So, I mean, I was like that old college guy hanging around with high school kids.
But that's what I did. After my graduation year, I was living in Pensacola, driving down every weekend, still coming down, because you get, like, it's like losing your best friend.
Yeah, it's hard just to cut it off.
Yeah, and I know people were never going to believe that and be like, it's just baseball. Like, you don't get it. That's fine. But you can't just cut it off.
Right.
I think I talked to Steele about that. He cut it off. It was a little bit easier for him because he had his training in a different state altogether for Air Force. So he was a little bit better able to do that. But even he was like, it's tough. Yeah. So you being able to come back, and a great thing about it too is, like, the Steagles were so welcoming. I don't know if the other coaches, like the previous coaches, would have been like that.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot. I feel like a lot of the guys in the previous program were, like, so
done with it.
Yeah. Like, so, like, soured on baseball. Cause I know the first 3 years when I would get home from the season over the summer, I had no desire to play summer baseball. Like, I just wanted to rest and be done with baseball until I had to go back.
Yeah, because you associated baseball with these Vietnam flashbacks, essentially.
Punishment and, throwing up from running.
Yeah, and all that crap. Yeah. So, but the Steagles were awesome because it was just like the only thing different was we didn't have a uniform. Everything else, they let us sit in the dugout, in the bullpen, like come to practices, everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they did, like that's awesome that they do with the alumni game. Because I don't ever remember there being an alumni game the first 3 years that I was with the Williams.
It certainly was. You weren't going to go to it anyway.
Right. We definitely couldn't have a beer in the dugout.
No shot.
Yeah,
but that's a thing that they do so well, and I think it's because they get it.
Yeah,
like they know what it feels like to just lose something like that as part of your life. So they're so welcoming. They figure out a way to get us to come back and want to come back and enjoy ourselves when we're there.
And again, you talked about it on the episode with Corey and Phil. Like when we go back for that alumni game and you see everyone again, you're right back. Like
it's not like, hey, how's everything going? Right. It's like, what are you wearing? Right. Like, why are you fat? Right, like, it's right back into it. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, it's awesome. And it makes me miss it. Like every time I go back there or even just hang out with you guys in any capacity, all I think about is like, man, like if Skip had an assistant coach job open for me, like maybe I'd give it up to go take it right now. Right. Like, I don't know. Like if my parents were getting older up in Jersey and I wasn't closer to them now to help them and shit, like I might just do it. There's always that in my head. Like if I didn't have just crippling Embry Riddle debt, I would take a $15,000 a year job, live in my car and just
living in Daytona.
Yeah. It's always awesome. It's always in the back of my mind in case they ever call. I always tell them, I was like, look, if you got a job that pays enough so I can pay my loans off, just let me know.
So you talked about when Steele, when he was in a different state. So when I finished playing in Canada and was living in Orlando, you were playing still, right?
Yeah, that was my final year, I think.
But maybe you were done. Did you stay at all after you finished playing?
No, well, that's when I was living in Pensacola. I was stationed in Pensacola and coming back.
You must have still been playing.
I was still playing that year because it was like 2010.
Yeah, because you would come to Orlando and stay every once in a while when we get Huey Magoo's
in Ocala by University of Central Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, so you had Tommy John before the Canadian League, right?
Yeah.
So you rehabbed and then you went up to play in this Canadian minor league team, right?
For one season.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's something I'd never experienced before, like, staying with a host family. It was a great experience to say I did it one time, for sure. But then I was kind of, okay, I need to start, making money and, doing something different.
Doing a career.
Yeah. Letting go of the baseball thing a little bit. Yeah. Cause I knew I wasn't going to get drafted or play professionally anywhere, especially with a fresh slit open arm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I think that was a good transit, like a kind of good way of weaning you off it because it was still playing, but it wasn't with like the guys again. So
and I knew that I kind of got to see that I could still do it after the elbow surgery, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, so that's a good closure. That's good closure right there.
Yeah. So I came back, and then that's when I was living in Oviedo, working for that like winter league baseball team that ended up folding.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. I don't even remember the name of the team, but I remember you doing that.
It was the Seminole County Naturals.
That's it. Yeah. Yes.
I was doing like broadcasts and stats and everything for them.
And it was like a Ponzi scheme. They just packed up and left. It was just like
Ken Griffey Sr. was the president of the league, and I met him once. And then,
which is like your idol's father,
right?
Like,
yeah, I played pretty cool. I think I have a picture somewhere.
I gave him finger pistols.
Right. So, yeah, I'm working for this league, and it's like the third week of the season, and the GM of the team's like, "Yeah, we can't pay anybody anymore. The league's done." And I was like, "Okay." So then I moved back.
I'll just go fuck myself.
Yeah. So then I just moved back to Maryland, and that helped me kind of like break off, like you said, with Steele. Like I was kind of done with the whole college thing.
Yeah.
And then I started working, but then, you and I still stayed close. We didn't see each other as often, but we still text all the time.
Yeah. And that's like, we still do it with like Bonji and Phil and them. Is like, we don't have to have these full gossipy bullshit conversations of like, hey, tell me what's going on. How does that make you feel? And all this. It's just like, did you watch this game? The Giants suck.
Right.
Like, got it. Like, that's it. And it never ended. So it's not like we ever we don't need to catch up because we're still there.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. You never get out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That area.
But it was tough. It does get tough though, that like when you move away to stay, like we were tight knit.
Yeah.
You, me, all everyone. David's Bonji, all those guys. Like when you're interacting every day, it was like all of a sudden now we're physically gone. It's completely different world. Like we still text and call and stuff, but it's like it's different, and you still kind of lose a little touch with those people. And you know, we change and evolve and whatever.
But we still had like meetups here and there.
Yeah.
And you came for that one birthday, and then you and Bonji came when you guys murdered me.
Oh yeah. Well, so yeah. So I remember when I was in school, I think you were done playing ball at the time, or it was maybe the winter when we first played together, or maybe the next year after that. We were on winter break, and I drove down from Jersey, like in between semesters, to go visit my friend in I went to go visit you in Maryland. That was when you were living with your old man in his condo and stuff. And then I went over to visit my friend in Winchester, Virginia, which was pretty close. I didn't realize how close.
Winchesterton Field.
That's right. Yeah. That was the same trip I got into that fisticuffs with that drum.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Which I'll talk about some other time.
Just another fight story.
Story.
Plenty.
Yeah. But then a couple years after that, I think you got done with the Canadian League. You were back living there. I don't remember if you were still with your dad or not. I don't think so. I think you were living on your own.
And you came with the pizzas and
yeah. So your old man hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, you know, are you free on this day for like your birthday weekend or whatever?" He's like, "Let's just try to do a surprise." So,
and again, we don't act like, "Oh, it's my birthday."
No,
weekend.
it's like a thing where like it's just an excuse to hang out. Yeah. It's not like I'm having a big blowout week for my birthday. You should no. It's an easy excuse, an easy kill to go be like, well, it's his birthday, so I can use that as a good excuse to go hang out with somebody.
I'm not gonna call out of work for a week.
No,
it's my birthday.
Yeah, hey, it's my birthday month, so where's my cake? So I went up there. Your dad got me like a wig and some fucking like janky teeth like to put in.
Pizza delivery guy.
I was the pizza delivery guy, and it was I'm in like this t-shirt and shorts to like, I don't know why he told me to get into t-shirt and shorts in the middle of winter in February in Maryland. Yeah. So I'm freezing walking up with this pizza to your house. I don't know if you saw me through the window, probably. I
was like, what the hell?
Yeah. As soon as you saw, you're like, what? It's completely out of sorts. Big Mike loved it. Your old man loved the whole idea.
And I think that it was around that same time. That's when we went to the next WrestleMania 27.
Yeah. It was around, was that the Georgia Dome one? Yeah. So it was like either the year before, like right before that or right after that. We went to our second event. That was the most wild one, I think.
Yeah, that was just you and I.
Yeah, that was.
I think you were in Pensacola.
I was stationed in Pensacola. You flew down to Atlanta. I drove up because it was only a few hours. We met with Bonji's brother because Bonji, who's Brandon, we talk about him a lot. I forgot where he was. Was he in Germany or something like that? Or Sweden? I don't remember exactly where he was playing ball. But we met up with his brother and we hang out. We party with him the night before. Yep. And do you remember? I forgot exactly the name of the place we went to.
It was at some club.
It was some club. Yeah. Did we go to Primal? You didn't go to Primal with us. That was a different story. With Steele and Bonji, we went to Club Primal. But we went to this other club and like got ripped that night, dancing with all these like fats and stuff. Or at least I was. And then the next day, you and I went up to the Georgia Dome to tailgate all day.
And the funny thing is, so I've been to 2 WrestleManias, both with you.
Right.
The first one we went to was WrestleMania 24 in Orlando, and it was a huge tailgate. Remember?
Yeah, everybody. It was a tailgate. Big time. Like it was like a football tailgate. Everybody was out there tailgating. Yeah. We had the truck that filled with Danny Martin came filled with ice and beers. Yep. and buds.
So we thought
it was a party.
We thought the next one, WrestleMania 27, was going to be the same thing.
Right.
So remember, we got all those snacks, and we got literally two cases of beer.
Yeah, 230 racks of beer, like Bud Light and Coors Lattes. A cooler, a bunch of like Chips Ahoy, Pringles,
We
and
get there.
snacks.
We get there at 12 p.m. The show starts at 7.
Yeah, at the Georgia Dome.
Yeah,
and we're like ready to. We're ready to
set, and there's no one.
It's just
in the parking lot.
It's a barely like there's a couple of cars in the parking lot.
No one's tailgating.
No, we have signs. We made signs. So like a bunch of idiots. Dude, it was so.
We did all the wardrobe changes.
We did. We cut promo videos.
You'll have to find those.
I have them saved. I found them already earlier this week, but I'm debating on whether to repost them and stuff.
What the hell?
But we cut promos of us like shotgunning beers, like doing stupid stuff. It was all above board and legal. We were all of age, so I could post them.
Yeah.
But it was all stupid crap. We changed our T-shirts and our uniforms to be different wrestling characters. Yep. We were trash talking.
We ran through those cases too.
We finished them.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got through like 50, 60 beers, just the two of us throughout the day.
I'm not one of the guys that's like, oh yeah, let's watch me drink.
Let's count how many.
But I was proud of that day.
Well, after the fact, that's when we kind of realized it because we were in a daze the whole day.
Yeah.
And then we went to the actual event, which was fun.
From what I can remember.
Yeah. After tailgating for hours.
Yeah.
And then like the next day, I remember I had to work.
Yeah.
In Pensacola.
The show ended at 11:30, midnight.
Yeah. And we stopped at Hood Mart. Remember that place? It was like plexiglassed up with a security guard. It was not a nice area.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple like 5-hour energies or something. Yeah. I dropped you off at the Atlanta airport and I just drove back down to Pensacola. And the next day I had to go to work. And after I show up, it was like a quick show up, how you doing? And then I'm done for the day. Yeah. And I go to clean out my car and I look in the cooler. I was like, oh, I got some beers I got to put in the fridge. And I look and I was like, there's no beers. I was like, what happened? And I think I texted you. It was like, hey, did you take a bunch of the beers? And you're like, no, I flew home. I was like, they're gone.
I think towards the end when we maybe had, 6 or so left, we were like, remember we were just launching them across the parking lot and catching them and then.
And then shotgun, Stone Cold and stuff. And then there was a couple of guys that were tailgating, like farther up that we were kind of dicking around with. I remember you would walk up and ask everybody that goes to these events. There's like 3 crowds that go to this event. Yeah. There's the kids that go for John Cena and they like wrestling. They go with their families. There's the guys like you and me, which are probably few and far between, that just know it's like a fun time to go hang out and drink and
are
dick
mostly
around.
Normal.
Yeah. And then there's the guys who are trying to be wrestlers legitimately. So they're all doing like
they're
private
actually
wrestling.
Cutting promos there.
Yeah,
too.
they're cutting real promos.
Yeah.
They're like practicing their moves. They're in their independent wrestling circuits, probably mostly out of New Jersey, because for whatever reason, New Jersey is like
there's a lot of them there.
The backyard wrestling capital of the country. And I remember we were walking around and you were going up to everybody and you're like, hey man, are you a wrestler? Are you trying to get into the company too or whatever? And they're like, and you knew all the lingo that they would understand, like this guy's one of us, even if we weren't. And they're like, yeah, I'm trying to, and you would always ask them like, what's your finisher? And they would always say, oh, it's a combination. It's a modification of this guy's finisher. And I do, and you're just like, rad, dude, totally cool. And then you look at me, you're like, what the fuck? It's like, we got to get out of here. And it was such a fun event.
They're just living the dream.
Yeah. And then after it all, you're just looking back and you're like we just tailgated at a wrestling event. It was awesome. Yeah. It was such a good, fun weekend.
Soon.
Yeah, we do.
I've been meaning to go, whenever we can. I mean, but we still watch it. We just watch it in people's houses now.
Yeah, we do like little parties or whatever when there's big events, which is still cool.
Yeah.
We had the feast a bunch of times at your place, the original site Bravo, before you got rid of it. We would have giant feasts and have WrestleMania events or like Super Bowl parties.
And
or
we went to
there.
Gary Big Hands.
That's house. Right. Then we went to Gary Big Hands' house, who is a key character in your death story.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about. So I went to visit you that one time. We'll kind of rewind again because like I always go off on tangents on this thing. It's kind of
that's what happens when you reminisce.
When you're talking with your brothers, you just kind of go off the rails. But so another weekend, it was another excuse for me and Bonji to come back. And this is the year before I moved here.
Yeah.
And I had no idea I was even moving here yet either. And it was actually months before I found out, I think. So we come up to visit you.
This was a planned trip.
This was a planned trip to come up to visit and hang out. And again, it was like, well, it's a birthday, so you might as, and it falls on a weekend, so you might as well just do it and dick around.
Right.
So we went out like a couple of those nights. We got in like a Thursday or Friday or something.
Did.
Yeah, I got in late.
The next day.
Yeah. And then the one night we went out, it was not birthday night. It was like a separate night, right? And it was...
I think my birthday was the second night. So the first night when you guys killed me.
Yeah, so the first night we were like, we'll go out tonight. And then the next night is Bud's birthday. Right. We're going to rage like we're a bunch of girls going to Vegas or something. Right. So, but it didn't work out that way. So the first night we actually go to Silver Spring here in this town. You had a buddy you worked with who had an apartment downtown. We started there. We were like taking whiskey shots.
Yeah, but before that, we were eating the pizza and doing push-ups.
Oh, yeah. So we were trying to get ready. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So during the day at your site, Bravo, we ordered some pizza. And we were like, well, we gotta look big for going out.
We gotta work out.
Yeah. So we would, every slice we had, we would knock out a set of push-ups, and we were tallying on the pizza box how many push-ups each of us knocked out. And we all knocked out a couple hundred each. Yeah. We did a bunch, but
like men.
Oh yeah, like tough guys. Right. That's all we have here at the program is tough guys and Davids. So we knocked out a bunch of push-ups, and then Bonji made us those drinks. Yeah. It was like rum and cokes, but it was like the Captain Morgan Cannonball, like the black rum, like jet black rum. And it was
like triple rum and coke.
Yeah, it was pretty much rum. And then he like accidentally spilled coke in it. Like it was an accident. He tried to just trick us with rum.
But again, we were all like catching up and back into our brother groove. Oh, yeah. We didn't really even notice it until we actually left.
No, then we got an Uber. To your friend's house, and then we took those whiskey shots, and that was when it was like,
okay,
I wonder what was in those drinks we had at the house, because I'm feeling it, and it was getting bad. And then we went to a couple other places with a couple of your enterprise friends, and then we went to the Mad Hatter, which is in DC, right? Yep. That was not the same night we went to Frederick, right? That was a different night.
The Frederick was the next night.
That's right. Yeah, I'm mixing up. There was all a blur.
Yeah. I don't know how I can recall this.
So then we went to Mad Hatter's. This is after a couple other prior places. Yeah. So we're drinking the entire time, just oob-dadding it to each place. We get to Mad Hatter's. Now, this bar it's a regular looking bar, but it's pretty geared towards that younger, like
dance
college
type
crowd, but all just post college, like new, like DC intern type, where like they have these drink specials that are just like, we just want to get you as drunk as possible so you buy more shit. Right. So they had this thing called the Mad Hatter. It was this clear plastic hat, like top hat.
It was basically a bucket.
It was a bucket that looked like a top hat that they put this green ooze in that was full of booze. Yeah. I don't know what was in it.
No clue.
It looked like nuclear waste. And it was made like they would put like 8 straws. They're like, oh, it feeds 8, and it fed 1. Right. Like that night, it fed pretty much just you.
I took care of that.
Yeah, so you took care of. Like we tasted it, and we would go back to it every once in a while. But that was all you, all night. You crushed it too.
That's before we adopted the Brotherhood drinking code.
Your death day triggered that rule. Yep. We'll get into that. But you were housing that, dancing with all these randos, like making out with all these randos. I don't even know who they were. Nobody did, which is fine. Yeah. And by the time we get done with the night, that's when Gary Big Hands comes in the picture. So Gary, you worked with him and played ball with him and both?
He played for the Legion team, so the post 295 like local summer ball Legion team. Yeah. He played after I did. But then we met each other at Enterprise, and then became friends.
Now this guy is like one of the nicest guys around. Yeah. I love the dude. He treats me like we're best friends, and I, right off the bat. And his claim to fame is he's got like Andre the Giant sized hands. He's a regular sized dude. I mean, he's bigger than me, like regular size for normal adults. Right. but he's got these giant bear paws that like look like he's wearing boxing mitts. Yeah. And they're not like alien fingers. They're like sizable sausage fingers. He's an animal. Like he could definitely beat the shit at you. Like one shot and you're knocked out.
Yeah.
So he's hanging. He finds his way into the picture. I don't remember. And you certainly don't.
Yeah.
So after the end of the night, we all go to McDonald's because Bonji and I are starving.
Yeah.
Big Hands Gary is starving.
Yep.
So we get you food. I think you ordered. Somebody ordered for you.
Anything.
No. Yeah. And you get like a 20-piece nuggets and some fries or whatever. And Gary's got a picture of us.
I have the picture.
You still have the picture. You got to send it to me because I'll pop it up. I'll marquee it up there for the jabronis out there. It's me with I'm wearing a hat that's too big for me.
Yeah.
I think it's yours.
I think it's just you and Bonji.
Yeah, it's me and Bonji. You're in the picture, but your face down, dead on the table. We're eating your nuggets and waving. Gary's taking the picture in the background, and that's the night. Like if you want to describe the night, it's that
picture.
Two drunk idiots thinking we're awesome, and you're dead. Like, and for all we knew, you could have been really having a bad time. Like, we were just too drunk to care or think about it.
Well, so we Ubered back. We were very safe on the road.
We didn't drive the whole night.
Never. We Ubered back to Clarksburg. And I don't even remember getting there. And then the next morning, you guys made that feast, which I have a picture of too. I'll send
you got to send that.
We can put it
right there. So,
you guys made that feast, and I didn't get out of bed until, like, I think I legitimately was poisoned, probably alcohol poisoned.
It was some poison because we don't know what was in the ooze, the Mad Hatter ooze, because there could have been Rufalin. Yeah. We don't know, like anything. But I do remember we made the feast. It was like eggs, avocado slices, bacon, the works.
It was beautiful.
It was good. And Bonji and I crushed it. And then you came out halfway through the day and we're like, we got food for you. And you're like, well, I'm going to shower. And I remember you went to shower and we just hear, like, because we're in an apartment, so you can kind of hear everything going on. And we just hear the shower running. All of a sudden, randomly, we just hear, and you come out, you're like, I'm good.
Like just in the fetal position in the shower,
like puking it up, and then you were back to bed.
Yeah.
But then you rallied.
Yeah.
So you just needed that time, and it's not because you were like being a beta bitch boy about it. Never. You just drank more than us, significantly more, which was not the intent. It wasn't like we were. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was just how it happened.
Yeah, that top hat put me out.
That was a dangerous combination right there. But then that's when you came up with the rule for that night, because you showered again. You got some food in you, not the feast, but you got something in you. And that's when you came up with the patented brotherhood rule.
And the rule stands to this day, at least for you and I.
Yeah. Well, Bonji never followed
it.
He knew. He's like, he knows about it, but then he's just like, forget it.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
He can take it.
But the rule is for every drink, sorry folks, the camera's dicking around again. So if you see blackouts, that's what it is. It's the second-rate studio situation. I'm not rich.
We're doing
yet.
what we can.
Yeah, so deal with it. But for every drink you have, you got to have water. Like you got to balance it out with an ice water.
Yeah.
And if you follow that same plan, like you could get a little bit liberal and go 2 drinks per water. But as long as you follow that ratio, you're fine. You can drink a lot. You'll be hydrated. You can stay out all night. And it perfectly worked that night. And it's worked since.
Yep.
The only time it didn't work for me.
That's what I was when you would order it and I would suck them down.
That was the combination of that. And then when we were out in Atlanta with Bonji, you'd be drinking, you'd be following the rule with my water. Right. But then Bonji, who we were at his bar that he works at, and he'd be like, I'll get you water. And he would get me Rumplemans.
I wasn't there that night.
No, that was a different night. But that's the only time it doesn't work is when your brother tricks you into thinking you're drinking water and you're not.
Pulls the switch on you.
Yeah, and he would do it enough to where, like, I wasn't drunk. I had a Rumpleman. I was like, dude, give me water. He's like, all right, I'll give you water. And he gave me a water, and then I had a water. And then he would sneak in another one. I'm like, dude, stop it with this shit. I don't want to get blacked out.
Right.
And eventually I got drunk enough, because Rumpleman's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I just got drunk enough where he would always be like, give me a water. And he'd be like, here's a Rumpelminze. And I'll be like, whatever. I wouldn't even know at that point. So I blacked out.
That's a vital rule, though, for everybody listening.
Yeah. So that night we went back out.
Mm-hmm.
We went to that Cuban joint in Frederick, which was great food.
Sabor de Cuba.
Yeah, something like that. And we always go to you for that stuff because you got Cuban roots, Cuban B.
I got it.
You know what good Cuban is. So we just went to you, and it was a good place. Yeah. And then we went to that club that was like
restaurant converted into a club.
What kind of was it, like a Chinese restaurant or something?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it was like a regular family restaurant that converted into like a dirty club. Like we thought it would be like a bar club scene where it was like pretty normal, but it was not.
Like a nightclub where one girl, scantily clad, is dancing with like 5 guys.
Yeah, like just
not good.
Raggedy looking guys. Like they had the neck tattoo, spider neck.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that guy? Like all these guys were all like ex-cons, all prison Mike types. And it was one, I mean, she was dressed like gutter trash. She kind of looked like it. She was sloppy. Her fat titties were hanging out. She was sweating like she just got out of the sauna. And she was just
loved it,
grinding on it right in the center. And we're all sitting there watching, like the 3 of us. Was anyone else with us that night?
Maybe some of my people that I work with.
Yeah, we did go. That was that the same night we went to go see your friend above the comic book store?
Yeah.
And
his girlfriend was getting into it with Bonji.
With Bonji, yeah, because we were at one bar and we were like, let's go to the strip club, because that's what we do normally is we get drunk and we go to the special interest establishment. But
you gotta tell the story about that one that we went to out. I can't remember where it was, in that like industrial park.
Oh, here in the DC area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So real quick, we went to this one. I forgot the name of the place, like VIPs or something like that. I think
that's the last time I've been.
That was the last time I've been to one. Yeah. So it was in a factory district, like a warehouse district, blue collar, and it was an old house. And it was bring your own booze, which normally I was like, I'm fine with. Usually they're better, those places. Yeah. But this particular one, it was bring your own, but you can't bring the beer inside.
Yeah.
You had to leave it. They said you had to leave it in your car.
Yeah, you had to fill the beer outside
in the parking lot.
And then come back in.
Yeah, with the red Solo cup that they gave you.
Right.
But we Ubered it because we're responsible.
Yeah, we never drive anywhere.
No. We Ubered it over there. So we had to buy like a styrofoam cooler at 7-Eleven, filled it with ice,
and hid it behind a
dumpster behind the strip club house. So we would have to go back behind the sketch dumpster to get our beer and take pisses and then go back into a sketch.
I mean, imagine somebody seeing that, like,
that's a low
guys.
Like, that's an otherwise low point in other people's lives. Not ours, but for other people, it might have been.
Hey, I'm happy that we didn't have to drive. That's easy because we were
responsible. It was super easy. But yeah, we started talking about that night going to a strip club, and
this is back when you guys visited.
Back to the birthday visit, and Bonji was talking to your friend. He's like, we're going to the strip club, and his girlfriend at the time was like, for whatever reason, was not happy about it. And then Bonji said something like, what are you afraid you're going to see your old friends there? Or something like that.
Just a Bonji comment.
Just a standard comment. It wasn't inappropriate or disrespectful. It was just like, kind of like, shut up.
Yeah,
like, stop being you don't have to go. Like, stop being a fucking party pooper.
Right.
And she got mad, and she practically pulled this dude by his ear and was like, we're going home. And we're just like, all right, we'll go to the sleazy club with Spider Neck and watch these guys just triple team this chick on the dance floor.
Quadruple team, right?
But that night, like, well, I remember we all follow the rule. You and I followed the hydration rule.
Yeah, I didn't go too hard that night.
No, we couldn't. You couldn't.
Coming back from
after that, it was tough go for a while as far as like we weren't ramping it up. That was like probably the last time I actually really ramped it up.
Dude, maybe. For like 3 weeks after that, I just did not feel, my stomach was not right after that. I didn't drink for a long time after that.
There's always those points in life, like those one stories where it's like, that's the deciding factor. That's the game changer.
Bonji did that to me. You were unaccomplished, but Bonji did that to me.
Well, he's always the culprit. Yep. And then there's, the little weasel in the background taking the jabs. Yeah. That's where I come in. But that was definitely Bonji, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He still tries to do it.
Yeah.
But I guess when you can beat everybody up, you can get away with it.
When you're bigger than everyone.
Yeah, when he's an entire human bigger than me.
I can't wait till you have him on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
We'll have to have like a Saturday night event
Mhm.
so we can drink and not have to worry about going to work the next day or whatever. And then we'll Uber it around town again responsibly. Oh, I'm hitting the wires here. Deal with it. Deal with it, folks.
We're doing what we can.
Yeah. But then I moved here, and I mean, we just fell right back into this like a similar situation. Like our dogs started hanging out. They became brothers.
Yeah.
The grand champions.
I mean, I can supply you with more pictures that you can post right
there. You had the picture of them.
I'm gonna send you 3 right now.
Yeah, the picture of them laying together.
Yeah, passed out.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did all the time. It was great.
Yeah, they're both in heaven now.
They are. Yeah, looking down on us. I always sneak Stan in the profile pics.
Oh yeah, you have to
from above. Absolutely. Looking down. But we still like hang out pretty regularly. We still have our lives and shit and work and other crap. And I'm never around anymore with work. But it's nice to be able to. And Phil was here for a while too, so it was nice to be able to like have your brothers around that you can just be like, hey, it's Saturday. What are you doing? You want to work out? You want to do anything like we used to do?
Yeah, and we still do that. I mean, we catch some Giants games. We'll go quick pump sesh at Goldstein's. Yeah, do what we can.
And we post pictures on it all the time, like if we're working out and stuff. And it's just like that. Being able to have that is such a good escape. I'm sure you feel the same way, but like being living alone and stuff. Like Bonji he deals with it a lot. Living down in Atlanta by himself. I mean, he's got his brothers down from childhood down there, which is good. But like Phil up in Syracuse right now, David's in Long Island. When I was in South Dakota and stuff, like when you're out solo, you like when you were solo here for however many years, like it's cool. You figure it out because we're men,
right?
But you got to deal with that crap, and it's kind of tough to like not have the outlet and the escape. But now that we're together, it's maybe we take it for granted. I know I do sometimes where it's just like, oh, he's literally like 20 minutes away, so I can go whenever. But it's nice knowing like that. You just knowing that is like comfortable now. It's like I know I got my brother to
you
back
can just
me
catch
up
up with a nice shit talk sesh.
That's it. Yeah, you get right back into it. Hit the gym, shit talk each other, watch the Giants fucking blow another game.
It's hard because the Giants are so bad right now, but we had those 2 years of Super Bowls, so it's
of greatness.
Yeah, so I can't. It's not as miserable as Redskins fans.
No,
maybe.
where they haven't won in decades.
Right, and it's just
they haven't been
fire.
Good since we were alive at all. So good, good. You want to be a fan of those losers? Fine. The Giants still they're still 4-time Super Bowl champ team, and which is only like 2 behind the highest.
Right, Steelers maybe.
Steelers 49ers. And Pats.
Yeah.
Pats have 6. Steelers have 5, and then like Dallas and Niners have 5 and 4 or whatever. So everyone's it's that they're in the conversation as the greatest. So they suck now. Got it.
It's not too bad. Yeah,
no,
it could be worse.
Right, and all they need to do is make the playoffs, and they're a dangerous team.
Right.
It's just getting to the playoffs has been tough these past few years.
Been very tough.
Yeah, and I really wanted them to beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, just so we can shit talk Steagles on this show. But
of course, we blew that one too.
Of course, of course they fucking.
You can't say exactly when the game was so that the viewers don't know when we're.
Oh
having this secret run.
No, a few weeks ago, because that's the thing is you have to have that good we call it OPSEC in the military, operational security. You don't want people to know when you're here.
No.
You don't want that pattern of life being picked up by our enemies.
Right.
So who knows?
You'll never know.
Who knows when this is going to air, when this is recorded. But the few weeks ago when they did play, I wanted to win so bad just for that. What sucks though about being a sports fan of any kind, and this is why I don't do it in text or anything, is like you can only shit talk so much, but you have no control of how the game's going to go.
Right.
I could shit talk the Giant, like the Cowboys all day to the Steagles and anybody else who likes the Cowboys or any team that I hate. And it doesn't matter because it's like, once the game starts, that's it. My control is gone. I can't, you just got to watch Danny Dimes run for his life and
fumble every chance he gets.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for him because when you get hit that often, like the law of averages, you're going to fumble at least a couple times.
He's seeing ghosts now.
He is, for sure, at least he's a little bit athletic. He can get away for the most part. But they're tough to watch. That's something that we can commiserate on.
Yeah, big time.
And I love going to your place now when we can and watching the games because we could shit talk the Giants and then we could take it out on Big Mike, your dad.
He gets so mad
because that's why because he
takes it so personally.
He gets all riled up, and we can just like go in on him hard in the paint on Big Mike.
He has to go into the garage and have his gummy bears.
Yeah, have his gummy bears for 15 minutes and do whatever he's got to do. But as soon as he comes back, we're ripping him to shreds. We're ripping the Giants to shreds. Yep. And it's like it never ended. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like if Skip would ever offer me the job, like that's why I would want to go back there because it would never end. I would have some sort of demand like, I got to bring these guys with me. They're part of the back.
When we go, so in the alumni game is not this coming.
No, it's pitchers and catchers this year, which I can't go because I'm going to be in Virginia Beach.
And I can't golf, so I'm not going to that.
Yeah.
But a year from now, essentially, is when the next one is.
Yeah.
You got to film one down there with them.
Oh, yeah, we got to figure that out.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, even if it's not an episode, even if we just film some content with them, just like I'll just set the camera up and we just go at it.
Yep. And you can piece that together. Right?
Yeah, I could put that out there for the fans, give the people what they want.
Yeah.
And it could be like a whole, like we can make a week out of it too.
That'd be gold.
Or just a few days.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah, that'll get me. That's what's going to get me to the top.
Mm-hmm. That's all. That's the only goal here.
That's it.
That's the top.
To the top. To the Barstool top. I always talk about that. Like we talked about it earlier, like how I'm obsessed with them and I just want to get hired by them. I keep hitting them up with like, look, I'll work for peanuts. Yeah. Like you don't understand.
They'll give in.
Like, yeah, one day you just gotta. I forgot what he says about it, but you just gotta be persistent. Yeah. Like that's pretty much how I am anyway. Like I'll just keep sending emails relentlessly to everybody and trying out for the team until I make it
down the door.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm big, that's going to be the reason. Like you'll probably be able to look back and be like, wow, Libretti used to have like, this is what his podcast was before this. Like he's the president right now.
He had a
podcast
room with a cord.
Yeah. Had a casting couch. It all started with the casting couch and this weird fucking cord. Like if you look on the screen, you got these two stupid cords. Like it's not a good scene.
It literally
folks.
Goes right across.
Yeah. Right across the screen. You can't hide it. There's another one that we're trying to hide underneath the memorabilia that goes to the camera. Like when I'm doing these podcasts from the Oval Office, it's going to be a different story. I promise you that. Studio. Yeah, for sure. And we could talk about aliens and stuff.
Absolutely. In the secret book.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about page 47,
right?
Which is a Book of Secrets reference, folks. If you haven't seen it, great film. Go check it out. National Treasure. Nick Cage.
One of his best. Yeah.
And speaking of Rich, real quick, he does have another one coming out. Have you seen the trailer for it? Bonji actually sent it to me. Like I haven't seen it already. Jiu-Jitsu. It's called.
Does he do karate?
Well, wait a second here. I don't want to give it away because the trailer, you got to the trailer is obviously on another level, but the premise behind it is there is an alien conglomerate that come down every certain amount of years. And the only way to get them back up to their planet or get them off is to fight them through jiu-jitsu.
Oh my God.
And Nick Cage is the guy who's like, he's the keeper of that knowledge and knows. I don't know if he's like an elder who's been around for thousands of years and knows this, but he like brings these people in to help fight I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the aliens are called, but they're from a different planet or something.
Where is this airing?
It's going to be in theaters.
Jesus.
I don't know. I think it's coming out in a couple months, but I don't know if it's going to be in theaters or like Netflix or Amazon Prime. But I'll update everybody on it. But that's if you got to watch a trailer, I'll put a little link somewhere like on the YouTube so you can you can click on it and go to the trailer and watch it.
You're getting so advanced with this technology.
I'm trying to, and that's one of the reasons why I started is to kind of learn about this stuff because it's interesting for me and it's another escape. When I can't hang out with my brothers, I can learn about video editing and getting pictures up on the market. So I'll put that link up, but that's another, like if that doesn't describe Nick Cage in general,
that's a Nick Cage movie.
It's a Cage movie for sure. So, and that's another thing that you and I can bullshit about is Nick Cage movies, like The Office stuff. Like that's
we didn't even get into The Office at all.
No, we're gonna have to go to a different episode because I know you got to get out of here. So, but we could that's another thing about our relationship and the brotherhood in general. I always talk about the brotherhood on the show and never really describe it or explain what it is. I'm not going to anytime soon, but that's another good thing is like, there's nothing will die. Like our conversation will never die. There's always something for us to bounce into, whether it's Nick Cage, The Office, baseball, Giants, shit talking Davids, shit talking Big Mike, shit talking Big Al, like anybody. Like I know Big Al's gonna get mad if she even listens to this that we just trashed her, but she won't listen. She doesn't like the show, which is fine. But yeah, we got to cut this off. You have important stuff to do. I don't, so I could talk for days.
I could just leave and you can keep.
Yeah, I'll just keep talking to myself like a goddamn Steven Glansberg, like I usually do. But I appreciate you coming out. This is awesome.
That was a good origin story.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much more. I know we kind of went all over the place, but we stay sort of like in a timeline. But I appreciate you coming out and doing this. And it is a pain in the ass these days with like work and our schedules, like working weekends and dealing with other shit going on to actually come together. So you being able to come here and do this was awesome.
I was excited. I've been wanting to do this since you started.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted you to be like, I always wanted you to be the first guest in the studio, but I wanted it to be done right. Like I wanted to have another mic and a full setup with like a real chair back there so that it wasn't like second rate because it doesn't like our conversations deserve better, I feel like. But at the same time, I'm leaving for 4 months and it's like, what if I blow up by then? Then it's just going to be like,
God,
not literally, but
you mean? If
I mean, like,
I was thinking if you blow up in.
Oh no!
Gotcha.
I mean, that could happen too, but
hopefully not.
I mean, with my skill set and like our brotherhood training, I'll be fine. Like
alpha training.
All that alpha training, that tough guy training. So thanks for coming out. Do you got anything you want to plug real quick? I know you do a lot of crap with work and with side gigs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, check out Title Boxing Club, North Bethesda, Title Boxing Club Rockville. Shout out to the Renegade Johnny Wrangler.
That's right.
He just had a birthday too.
There you go.
Check out Good Brother Figs on Instagram. Good Brother Figs.
That's a good. I love going that. Yeah, that's a good one. So if you guys want to check out like all the nostalgic, like good collectibles, figurines, like wrestling belts and stuff, it's all there. Even if like I know you buy and sell and do trades and all that stuff. Time. Like you're into it for real. But just being from a fan's perspective, like seeing all the cool figs that you get, like the Back to the Future stuff and their old wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kid at heart, so being able to go back and reminisce with like Ninja Turtles and you know, wrestling and Power Rangers, like I love that shit,
and if you can make a couple bucks doing it, like that's
even better.
That's really the dream right there, is to be able to do something you love and enjoy and finding a way to monetize it.
Right.
So go check Good Brother Figs on Instagram. Title Boxing, Bethesda and Rockville. That's for that's the boxing gym that you manage. Which is pretty. I follow both of those as well. And it's fun to see. Like even though I don't go to the gym physically, like I look at the stuff that they're doing and I kind of try to incorporate some of the stuff that I can at home. So it's good for that, especially if you're living in one of the states that are not open yet, like the gyms aren't open, so you can go check.
Yeah, we got stuff online if you want to work out from home. So
yeah, they have. You guys did a great job doing like the whole like Zoom type of classes where you recorded stuff. You did it live and then recorded so people can do their workouts at home, which is great. So go check that out. Go check my shit out. You know all the places: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Libretti Podcast Diary Show. Comment. Like shit talk in the comments on I got the new Facebook page up finally. That's where I'll be I'll be posting everything to Instagram and Facebook as far as updates, like video clips, merchandise stuff. So we started a little bit ago. We put out some ideas for the merch. I tried to idiot proof it in the previous episode of like how it's going to work. But just again, we're putting out like ideas for people to kind of either vote on, leave feedback on, come up with their own based off of what I put out. And then eventually I'll put out a vote of like, of these 4 items, which ones are you guys going to, want to buy?
Just narrow it down.
Narrow it down to like 1 or 2 items. And then I'll bulk order those because I'm not rich yet. So I can't just be buying like one shirt for one person, a different shirt for another person.
You just have people pre-order them for you before you get them.
Yeah, so they can do that. The thing I want to do though is I want to get in a bulk because it drops the price down for everybody. Right now, if it's like one-offs,
Yeah,
it's like
$30
I'm not
a shirt.
it's more than that depending on where you go, plus shipping. And it's like I can't justify making you guys like feel guilty into buying merchandise. Plus, then I got to make a couple bucks off myself so I can continue building like the tech here, the empire, if you will. So we'll get to that. I know you're the go-to as far as like coming up with good designs and artwork and stuff.
Send them to me.
You design all my tattoos. Like all my stuff is all you. All those are all you. And all the other stuff that we have, like. So I'm going to be tapping into you for that. So we'll post that eventually to both the sites. So check those out. But leave the feedback. Like I read all of it. It entertains me. I try to engage back with that to keep it going.
We love a good STS.
Oh yeah, the shit talk session for sure. Like I love that stuff. That's what this show is all about. Is like letting you guys freely shit talk. I get the text. People text me when they're listening back and forth of like to shit talk me, which is also good, but put it out in public. It does two things. One, it gets other people engaged. And also two, it's not a beta bitch boy move. Like you put it out in public, let everyone
put your name behind
it. It's a little bit, I mean, you're still text message tough guy and people, but you got your name back there and we know who you are. So do it.
Huge steel move.
It is a weasel move, but he hasn't texted shit talks to me yet for the show, which because he doesn't listen, I'm sure, which he doesn't want to listen because if he listened, he would just be ripping him all day. So good move on his part. But go check out shit out. Thanks again for coming, bud. I've said it 1,000 times. I mean it 1,000 times. So thank you guys for listening. I love you guys and stay strong.
And I was talking to your mother just the other night. I told her I thought you were an asshole. She said yes. I think you're right. And all